here again with PC Sports. I'm just going to bring up a couple things I've noticed with assembly. Sometimes the bike does not come with bolts that are long enough to fit through back here. I am trying to send out the correct length bolts with each shipment. Sometimes I forget, and sometimes it actually comes with the right size, so then you just install them. But this is roughly what's needed. It's about an inch. If you look at right here, about 3/4 of an inch or longer. I would try to get a full inch just to be, have some extra thread in there. Like I said, I try to send those out with each package. If not, you'll have to go to Ace Hardware and spend $0.25 on 2 bolts. Another thing to note, the best way to install this trunk rack is to one bolt. You have to keep them all loose. Do one here, keep them real nice and loose. Do this right front next, and then do this one last. Everything lines up great except for this right front one, and so you have to have these two loose and in to wiggle that one in, because if you do this one first, there's no way you're gonna get this one in. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Back two, then that one, then this one, and these front two, the bolts come up, and then a washer and a nut on top. Okay, also on these right here, don't over tighten them. You see how this is bendy because this is rubber, and basically this has been molded around the threads that are along stud basically, and if you tighten this too hard, you will pull the rubber off and it'll just hang and fall. And then also for the front, here's a couple areas. The best way to route this brake hose that I've found is coming up in front of the cluster. Now the only way to do that, to give it enough slack, is to have the brake hose come up the side. See it back here? Coming up the side and through the little holder. There is a, now these are very easy to break, not the fork cut guard itself, but I'm saying just a little tab. You do not need the grommet in this holder. Just use the brake hose itself. You can actually take a knife and cut that off and toss it, because this is so big it'll explode that, and then even if you do break them, you can still ride them without it, because it's still going to be in there just fine. But if you want it to stay perfectly nice and new, do not use the grommet in this left side, the brake side, and just cut this off, because you're never going to use it for anything. On the other side, the grommet will fit in the thing for the speedo gear cable. It will fit. However, if you push that in too quickly, you'll snap that as well. So you need to be very careful. I would recommend greasing this grommet. Put some grease around it to help it slide in and not catch. I kind of like, if I was going to use this one, which is extra, so you could cut this one off too. I kind of stick the bottom in first and then push it forward like that. But if you grease the middle, like I said, I'm going to start recommending a little bit of grease on this when you put this side in, and that'll hold it real nice and easy. And that holds it in there well, even without grease, but you just got to be very careful. For all people who are doing this for the first time, just put a dab of grease on it. If you're a dealer and you buy these all the time, do whatever you want, as long as you don't break them. Okay, and on this back side, you see the tube underneath there, or the hose, or the cable. It actually goes in between the screws and up in that little channel. I've got a sample here of some new ones that I'll show you. Okay, so you look at these ones right here. Where they screw in, there's a nice little gap for that wire to run for that speedo gear side. So let it stay in there just to keep it in place, and that'll give it a really clean, flush feel. You could run the brake hose on that side up through that channel as well, right behind the screws. However, that pulls this so far forward that now this is going to be out up like this. And most people don't want this hose sitting right in the way. So that is why I'm recommending, you know, it'll sit right back there great. But that is the route I'm recommending at this point. So, other than these little tabs, getting this right bolt on for the rack and over tightening these, I haven't had any regular issues being reported. This one we've talked to Bashan already about, and hopefully they'll cut the next container a little bit better. The other two are installer error, and that's why I'm making this video to help people not to ruin their stuff. But so that's it. That's all for right now. If I have any more things come up as we keep assembling, the 2019 container is on its way. It's going to be here in a couple months, and we'll make another video about that when we get them in. Thanks for watching, guys.